Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Oh, thanks. Hey, first of all, thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you to Creative Mornings. I am so excited that Creative Mornings is here. I have been a part of Creative Mornings in Atlanta and Nashville. I've not spoken at those events, but I've been there, and this is long, long overdue, y'all. So a round of applause for the people who put this together one more time. Thanks. And I'm also very grateful to what must have been 6 or 8 people who said no to speaking today so that I could be up here. Otherwise, I'd be out there with you people, and this is pretty cool. I am going to talk today about several things, but first, you need to understand that 30 minutes is a long time to fill, right? 30 minutes is a lot. There's a lot of content that goes into 30 minutes. And so in preparation for this and trying to figure out, as I was nervous and trying to figure out, what am I going to talk about for 30 minutes, I read a book about public speaking. And, it was actually an Instagram story that said, but it was really good. It was really good. It said, the number one thing you need to know in public speaking is you need to know your audience, right? You need to know your audience. And all I knew about this audience is it's called Creative Mornings. And so as I'm trying to figure out how to fill up this 30 minutes that I've got, I think that we can take some time and just start over here and just introduce yourselves. And you got 5 to 7 seconds. We'll go around, and it'll allow me to fill up the rest of the time. I'm just kidding. I am going to talk about 3 things today. 3 things. These things are influence, storytelling, and paper towels, okay? The latter 2 we'll get to in just a second, but I want to talk about influence first and foremost, okay? We are a smart group. You guys are smart people. We are in the communication arts, right? So there's advertising people here and marketing people here and public relations people here and other people here who know the definition of influence. It's something that I would submit is overused. It's a word that is overused, especially in our industry. Okay, it's overused, but I don't think we think about it near enough. Okay, so we're gonna think a little bit about influence today and what that really, really means. So in preparation for that, I'm going to define the word influence, and for this, I used Funk and Wagnall's dictionary. Okay, anybody familiar with Funk and Wagnall's dictionary? I don't have anything against Webster's dictionary, but Funk and Wagnall's is the coolest resource book name in the history of the world, and so I used Funk and Wagnall's. Okay, so Funk and Wagnall's defines influence as this. Thanks. Funk and Wagnall's defines influence as this: the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something. Okay? That makes sense, right? You also probably surmised that before I defined it for you. But the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something. I'll tell you how cool Funk was. Funk did this when he defined the word influence. He switched up the letters a little bit. And advertising is also the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, right? Do we agree?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Guess what? He kept going. He kept going. He said marketing is also the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something. And then he just kept going over and over and over. Public relations. Writers. We got any designers in the house? We got designers. Guess what? You have the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something. If you have a family, if you're a student, the point here is that everything, right? Everything, we have the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, okay? My chosen way of seeking influence has been advertising. For 20 years, I have been seeking influence through advertising. My search for influence has taken me from Birmingham to Atlanta, to Birmingham, to Nashville, back to Birmingham, Greenville, South Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Birmingham, Atlanta, and now I'm back in Birmingham. Thank you. For 20 years I've done that, and I've been trying to figure out influence, right? What does influence mean? How can I influence people? How can I influence people with the gifts that I've been given? How can I make a difference in their lives, right? So I've chosen to do that through advertising, and over and over and over again, I've moved from place to place to place, seeking out titles, seeking out the next best campaign, seeking out the next best story, seeking out the next best whatever that will allow me to influence people. That has been a passion of mine for a long, long time. Okay, it took me all over the Southeast. Well, as I have been seeking influence as a writer, trying to write and get people to do something or buy something or believe something or invest in something or please buy this thing, I have realized that advertising can basically be broken down to do 2 different things. Okay? Advertising is about gaining attention or garnering intention. Okay? Gaining attention is the thing that we're all familiar with, regardless of what you do, your capacity, or what you do on a day-to-day basis. Gaining attention is that features and benefits marketing that we are all familiar with, right? It is, please buy this. Look at the shiny things over here. This is really pretty. Please buy this. And so we use whatever gifts we've been given to try to influence people to buy something or to believe something or to invest in something or whatever, right? I don't necessarily like that way of advertising. I never have. And so that's probably why I've moved 11 different times, right? Garnering intention, though, is better. Garnering intention is about storytelling. Garnering intention is about inviting someone into a conversation, allowing them to become a part of what you're talking about, a point of view, a perspective that you have on the world or on the product or on the organization or whatever you're talking about, right? Garnering intention is powerful. And it's where stories get told. And when you're able to invite people into a story, you're able to give them a perspective that they might not have had without you, and so therefore have an influence, right? So, with that in mind, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. All right. I grew up, listen, I had 9 cups of coffee this morning, so take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, in a wonderful, wonderful, amazing, loving, beautiful family, okay? Got 2 brothers who I love so dearly, a sister who I like a lot, and parents who were the best of the best, right? My parents invested in us in ways that you can't even imagine. They were wonderful, wonderful parents. They loved each of us so deeply. I never wanted for anything. I never needed anything. I wanted lots of stuff, but I never needed anything. I grew up in a wonderful, wonderful home. My mom and my dad loved us immensely and intensely, and they loved each other immensely and intensely until the day that he died. Okay? This guy, my dad, was, I'm going to say this not because he's dead and not because he's my dad, but this guy was a wonderful, wonderful human being. He was one of the greatest men I've ever known to ever walk the earth. He was great at everything he ever tried to do. He was a wonderful husband, like we talked about. He was an amazing dad, like I've already talked about. He was a deacon at church. He was a very successful business owner. He was funny. He was handsome. He made me. He was great, right? He was great at everything he ever tried to do. He was even a great athlete. I mean, this guy made a 36 on his ACT. He went to Vanderbilt University. He never really failed at anything. He was really, really great. He was a great athlete as well. He played receiver at Vanderbilt University back in the late 60s. They weren't very good back then either, but he was. He was great. He was a great athlete. I never saw him pass up a basketball and without challenging somebody to play a game of one-on-one. He was a great golfer. He played tennis. He played church softball and basketball. He was just great at everything he did. He was also a great runner. And he wasn't just one of these guys that runs around the neighborhood like I try to do every once in a while. He was a marathon runner. This guy ran marathons, lots of them. He was training for his 6th marathon when he went to the doctor for a pre-race routine checkup. And the doctor said, "Bob, you look great, man. You look great. I mean, you got the physique of a 21-year-old. Your blood pressure's 120/80. Your heart rate's great. Your breathing is great. Your lungs look good. You're a specimen, man. You're clear to run in this race. But you might want to get the twitching in your arms checked out." So a couple of days later, he found himself face to face with a neurologist, and the neurologist, with tears in his eyes, said, "Bob, I don't know how to tell you this, man, but you have amyotrophic lateral sclerosis." And my dad looked at the doctor much like you're looking at me right now and went, "Okay, but can I run in the race or not?" And the doctor said, "I don't think you understand. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. You have ALS. This is Lou Gehrig's disease." And the story goes, I wasn't there, but the story goes that my dad looked at him, cocked his head, and said, Lou Gehrig. Like, Lou Gehrig was like one of the greatest athletes of all time. Lou Gehrig, they called him the Iron Horse. He played with Babe Ruth. This guy, for 15 years, never missed a single turn at bat. 2,000 consecutive games that he played, he never missed a game. They called him the Iron Horse. He's in the Hall of Fame. There's video of him saying, "I'm the luckiest man in the world. I've got what he's got," or what he had. And then 18 months later, he died. 18 months after being diagnosed with ALS, my dad left my mom, and he left his kids, and he left a business, and he left a church, and he left a community. He was beloved, and he was gone, right? I don't think he really paid attention to what influence meant until that time, but I think he kind of figured it out a few months before he died. All right, I'm going to try to make this quick, but a few months before he died, I came home as a 9th grader, came home from school having been cut from the basketball team in high school. And I was devastated. But I can tell you right here in front of God and everybody, I can be honest with it because I'm a grown-ass man, I can tell you that I should not have made the basketball team in high school. I was not a good basketball player at all, okay? I forgot to show this. There's Luke Gehrig. I wasn't a good basketball player, and I came home, I was still devastated, though. I mean, and I've gone through this with my own kids, but I was devastated. And I remember looking at my dad and crying and tears pouring down my face, and I said, Dad, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't make the team. And I'll never forget this guy. He took his elbow, and he wiped my face with his elbow. And he said, you don't get it, do you? You don't get it. He said, I'm the one that's sorry. He goes, do you not know that there's nothing you can do on a basketball court to make me love you any less? And there's nothing you can do on a basketball court to make me love you any more. He said, you're my son. You're perfect. You're perfectly and wonderfully made. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. You're my son. You're my perfect son. You're a great friend. You're a great son. You're a great brother. That's what matters. That's what it's all about. Don't worry about basketball. It's just a game. You're fine. And I rolled my eyes and went to bed, right? And went to bed, and as the tears were drying on my face, my dad did something pretty remarkable. He wheeled himself to the kitchen table in my house, and he painstakingly wrote me a note. And he had to write this note. He scribbled this note with his left hand because the disease had taken his right hand from him. So he scribbled this note with his hand, and then he wheeled himself down the hallway, taped the note to my door so that I'd find it the next morning. And that's what I did. Here's what the note said. It said, hey, buddy, today is going to be a great day. It's your day. No one and nothing can make your day anything other than you want it to be. If the weather calls for rain, decide now that you'll enjoy being wet. If the test score is low, work hard to make sure the next one's higher. If treated unfairly for something, smile and be thankful for the many things you've not been caught for. Attitude is everything. Today is not yet anything. So fill it with laughter. All right? All right. My dad did not mean to change my life when he wrote me that note. He was just trying to change my day. Right? But that note, I kept it. It meant a lot to me. And I kept it in my pocket. I kept it in my backpack. I carried it around with me for a long time, even after he passed away. I carried it along with me for a long time. Somewhere along the way, it got destroyed or I lost it somewhere. It went away. But the message stayed. I memorized it, the message stayed. And that's a point that I'm trying to make here, okay? He wasn't trying to change my life. He was just trying to change my day. And he did, and he does, over and over and over again, okay? Well, now, and talk about perspective, right? The word that we talked about at the beginning, perspective. Now that I am grown, I'm 5 years older than he was when he passed away. I've got a son the exact same age I was when he passed away. I'm starting to understand what influence really means too. Okay? Now, my wife and I have 5 kids. We never intended to have 5 kids. They just kept coming over and over and over. She was like a Pez dispenser. I have no idea. They just kept coming out. I'd tap her on the head and a baby would fall out. We put a television in our bedroom and things kind of slowed down after that. But I've got these 5 kids. I never intended to have 5 kids. I wanted 2 kids. I still sometimes want 2 kids. But they are wonderful creatures, right? And they are becoming the people that they were created to be. And I'm starting to understand what influence is all about, okay? And I write them notes too, okay? I write my kids notes. I've done this for a long time, since my daughter, who is now 19. You say, no way, you've got a 19-year-old daughter. Look at you. Yeah, I promise. She's 19. She's a freshman at the University of Alabama. Roll Tide. And she's awesome, but since she was 4 years old, she's about 4 years old, preschool or whatever, I've started putting notes in her lunchbox, right? So I would write a note that says, Daddy loves you, or have a great day, sweetheart, or you're pretty, or whatever it was, I'd put it in her lunchbox. And I've been doing this for a long, long time. A couple of years ago, I wrote a note to my kids. And again, I do this every morning. I write a note, I put it in their lunchbox, in and amongst the peanut butter and jellies and the bruised bananas and the Doritos and whatnot, and I send them off to the bus stop. But a couple of years ago, I wrote this note that I thought was particularly insightful. It was a beautiful message. It made me think about life and living and what it really means, right, to do this thing called life. And so for some reason, I decided to take a picture of this note because I didn't want to forget the moment. Took a picture of the note, I sent them off to school. I got to work later that day. I was scrolling through my pictures and I saw the picture and it reminded me again of how special life is and the things that can happen if you really put your mind to it, what you can really do. And so I just decided, you know what, I'm going to post this to Instagram. At the time I had about 62 followers on Instagram, but I thought those 62 people are really going to get something out of this. And so I posted this note. It says, remember, every time you smile, a mean kid gets diarrhea. It's special, right? It's special. That is a father's love on paper, right? So I posted that, and you know what? The reaction was kind of much like what several people went LOL or double tap, or some people even shared the message. I was like, well, this is fun. And so the next day I posted that message, and it read, you might not be as smart as your sister, but she can't eat gluten, so you win. Tell me that's not true. Tell me that's not true. If you could pick smart or a donut, which one are you doing? It's wisdom. So I posted it the next day. Please eat all your carrots. They're supposed to make you smart, and you need all the help you can get. So these notes, lovingly written to my kids, each day I started posting these messages, and people started liking them over and over and over, and they were sharing them over and over and over, and I went from 62, or 67 is what I said, 67 followers to 112, right? And so I thought, well, this is cool. People like these, so I kept posting them. I said, I hope you enjoy your lunch because Mom is cooking dinner. It's another 1 out of every 5 kids in the U.S. will commit a crime by the time they turn 18. I'm putting all my money on your brother. It's a safe bet. It's a safe bet. My 12-year-old's something else. This one, Mom went to the grocery store last night. You owe us $364.27. Enjoy your lunch. So again, I started posting these things, and it was pretty remarkable. It was almost embarrassing because people started liking them and laughing at them and sharing them. I was getting messages from people I don't even know saying, hey, I love that note. It was really good. That was a really cool note. Or I got messages from people I do know saying, hey, my sister's cousin's father-in-law posted one of your stupid notes on Instagram. He lives in Kansas. I didn't even know they had the internet in Kansas, but they liked these notes, and so I kept posting them. The black spots on your banana are kind of like battle scars. You're about to eat a very, very brave banana. Sometimes in life we have to make tough decisions, so I ate all of the cookies. Again, posting these things, and a couple of hundred followers went to a couple of thousand followers. A couple of thousand followers went to multiple thousands of followers. And so I thought, man, this is cool. People like it. So I'm going to post them on Facebook in a Facebook album. And I posted these notes in a Facebook album. And y'all, this thing started getting shared over and over and over again. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people started seeing these notes, and I couldn't figure it out. People were blogging about these things. I was getting email messages from people saying, hey, I use your notes in my classroom to help inspire or encourage or make my kids laugh. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Did you not see yesterday's? I put the word poop on a napkin, and I couldn't figure it out, okay? People were, like I said, blogging about this. Woman's Day magazine did an article about these napkin notes and this napkin notes dad from Birmingham. And listen, I've always been pretty popular with the women, but nobody's ever written an article about it. So I kept posting them. I was like, this is really cool. It became a game. This is probably the most important thing you're going to see all day. It says, do not ever trust a toot the day after taco night. I'm not kidding. There's nothing more tweetable than that quote because it's true. I know you know I'm right. Okay? Sometimes our biggest mistakes can turn out to be our greatest blessings. Your sister, for example. I was posting these and people started liking it. And again, I dare say they went viral because I don't like that word. But I mean, I'm posting napkins on Instagram and I've got 9, 10, 11, 12,000 people following and liking these things on a day-to-day basis. And I couldn't figure it out. Now remember what I started talking about at the beginning. For 20 years, I've been trying to influence people. For 20 years, I've been trying to use my words. I've sweat blood over paragraphs. I have spent weeks on a headline. And I write diarrhea on a napkin, and 100,000 people could see it. And I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't understand. But then I started reading their messages. And their messages were like, hey, man, thanks so much for posting that today. It reminded me of what my dad used to do. Or, hey, buddy, I really appreciate that message you put in there yesterday. My grandmother used to do that for me. Okay? And so I was like, okay, well, this is cool. I started reading their notes, and I started to... Expiration dates are for sissies. Get it? Because the food was probably spoiled. All right. May all of your dreams come true except the ones with monsters and stuff. No one loves you more than I do, except for Jesus and Mom and probably Mimi. Oh, and that weird lady from church who kisses you on the mouth. I'm sorry I yelled at you this morning. I was just practicing for later when we do homework. I know y'all know it. I mean, those of you with kids, there's probably 3 or 4 of you with kids in here. But that's a true statement. Part of my role as a father is to teach you about what to expect later in life. This lunch represents disappointment. So over and over and over, people started liking these things. 10,000 followers, 12,000 followers. I don't know what the exact number is today. I've kind of stopped keeping up with it. But my point is all these people started liking these things, and I couldn't figure it out. I started reading their notes. I started reading their messages, and I was getting emails. I got an email from a lady in Houston. This lady in Houston wrote to me, and she said, you are single-handedly making me reconsider my decision not to have kids. And I went, really? Like, gross. And I said, you know what? Maybe, but I'm going to need to see a picture first. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But then she told me her story. I couldn't figure out why she said it, but then she told me her story. And her story was not a pretty one. It was not a good picture, right? She grew up in a broken home. Her dad was abusive. Her mother was an addict. She got put in foster homes when she was 13. She grew up abused sexually, mentally, physically, her entire life. So her picture of a family was not a very pretty one. Her first perspective of a dad who loves his kids was coming through these stupid notes that I was posting on Instagram. That's powerful. And my resolutions changed. I started realizing, hey, I've got an opportunity here. I have an opportunity here. I can do something really cool with these things. People are sharing their stories with me, and oh my gosh, the pressure. What am I going to write today? I don't have anything to write today. I don't know what I'm going to write today. And so I would labor at the kitchen table trying to figure out what's going to make people laugh, or how can I inspire somebody? Should I put a Bible verse on there? I don't know what to do. And my wife was like, dude, chill out. They're not laughing, or they're not impacted by what you're writing. They're impacted that you're writing. And it took the pressure off. And so I was able to go, okay, good. And I posted this one. That's not rain. The sky is crying because of your math grade. It makes my soul hurt when you say things like amazeballs. I love you even though you still say library. For your information, the hands that had to clean up after you this morning are the same hands that made this lunch. Think about that the next time you pee all over the bathroom. Who has kids in here and who has boys in here? And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, they pee on the walls, y'all. It is insane. I don't know when I gained control, but I certainly did at some point. I'm hoping it comes in the next day or two. And then, gosh, I love your face. Okay, so there are some sweet ones in there. I'm not always making fun of their mom or trying to be foul in the message I put. So the point is this. This is an accidental thing that happened. This is an accidental viral thing that happened, right? I never intended it to get this far. But the people who are commenting on these messages and the people who are sending me their stories has been such a powerful influence in my life. And it's allowed me to understand that I've got an opportunity to use the gifts that I've been given. Maybe it's not in headlines, and maybe it's not in paragraphs. Surely it is. I hope it is continuing moving forward because I've got to make some money somehow. But this is an opportunity to do something cool, right? And I pulled some messages that people sent to me. I'll just read you a couple, and then we'll move on. I love this too much, totally stealing these from my kids. My mom used to do this. I love her so much. Put these in a book. Every dad in America will thank you. Please never stop doing this. People like you make life way more fun like it should be. This one caught me off guard and made me tear up. Thanks for the unexpected feelings, blank hole. My dad used to write notes almost every day. I forgot how special that was until now. I use your notes in my classroom to make my kids smile. Over and over and over. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people sharing their stories with me. These are just excerpts. My son goes to school with your kids, and he looks forward to your notes every day. Never thought about that in a million years that would happen. Parenting advice is the best. This is the dumbest thing I've ever read, and I love it. Thanks for being a good example. A pastor out of South Carolina wrote, follow and then steal from W.R. Ivey if you love your kids. The pastor telling his flock to steal was funny to me. All right, and then take a look at this one. You shine a light of love every morning. Thank you. God bless you. My heart is full. All right, I do care, but regardless of what your belief system is, regardless if you are a Jew or a Gentile, if you're a Catholic, if you're a Protestant, if you're a Baptist or even Episcopalian, it shouldn't, if you're an atheist, if you're agnostic, it shouldn't matter. This should be the goal every day, right? You shine a light of love every morning. Thank you. My heart is full. I mean, that is crazy. You know what's crazier than that? You want to see the message she wrote that to? Let me let you see this real quick. I put a little poop on a napkin, and I shine a light of love every morning. Thank you. God bless you. Well, you are welcome, crazy lady from Kansas. I still didn't really understand. Okay, that was supposed to come earlier. Sorry, I couldn't understand. I got an email. I think this is what's next. Yeah, I got an email from a hero. He is a hero of mine. This guy has been a mentor both creatively and spiritually and otherwise. He's just a great mentor, great guy. He said, Billy, this napkin thing is going to matter to your kids. It must be a pain some days, but it doesn't matter if it's funny or witty or creative. They're going to know that you started every day trying to find a new way to say I love you. It's going to matter because you showed up. All right? That nailed it for me. That put everything into perspective. It put everything into perspective. It gave me a new vision for what this thing could be. But what really helped me figure out what this thing could be was a friend of mine from Chick-fil-A. I was blessed. I'm so blessed to have worked with Chick-fil-A corporate in Atlanta for about 4 years, and one of those 7 or 8 times I lived in Atlanta, I worked with Chick-fil-A. And I still have lots of friends there. I still have lots of contacts there. And so one of my friends, his name is Jay. Jay gave me a call sometime in May, I think. And he called me and he said, hey, man, I love what you're doing. I love the fact that these napkins have kind of sort of taken off accidentally. This is really cool. I'm here. You know, I see things in my feed all the time for other people. It's really special. Hey, what are you going to do this summer? I went, I don't make my kids lunches in the summer. I don't even know if my kids eat in the summer. Like, they got Xbox and they're done, right? And so, man, I don't know. I guess maybe I can just stop for the summer, take the summer off. And he said, no, that's not good enough. I'm not going to allow you to do that. See you, Satina. So disappointed. Anyway, where was I? Doesn't matter anymore, does it? This guy, so he's with Chick-fil-A. He said, hey, it's not good enough. You've got to do these messages. You have to keep doing this. I'm not going to allow you to stop doing this. I said, hey, take it easy. Okay, I'll keep doing it, but I don't know why. You know, I don't make my kids lunches. And he said, okay, well, I'll give you a call in a couple of days. So he called me in a couple of days, and he said, hey, I got it. The Chick-fil-A Foundation, which is, of course, the foundation of Chick-fil-A, we do something really special in the summers. So in the summers, the Chick-fil-A Foundation partners with people like Girls and Boys Club of Atlanta and Action Ministries and some of these other ministries throughout the city of Atlanta to provide free lunches to kids who are on free lunch programs at school. So he educated me on something. You guys may not know this. Some of you probably know this and are painfully aware of this. But kids who are on free lunch programs at school God bless them. God bless the government for that, that helps them get food at school, right? But during the summer, unless they're part of a program, unless they go to Boys and Girls Clubs, unless they are part of some summer camp or whatever, some of them might not eat. And that was devastating to me to hear. So what Chick-fil-A Foundation does is they partner with these different groups who identifies these kids who need free lunches, and they provide free lunches to these kids. And he said, wouldn't it be neat if we could put a napkin note in all of these kids' lunches? And I said, oh man, that is amazing. That's really cool. Like, can I write diarrhea on a napkin in that? And he's like, no, you're going to have to probably edit yourself a little bit. I was like, crap. All right. I said, yeah, I'm in. I'll do this. I think this will be fantastic. And he said, okay, cool. We need 300 notes by Monday. And I said, all right. And so for 3 nights in a row, I sat up at my kitchen table and I just wrote notes. I wrote note after note after note after note. And I sent them off to Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A put them in the lunch boxes. They went off to the kids, and I got a call later on Monday afternoon, and he said, dude, you're gonna flip when you hear this. I mean, the people who were packing the lunches were laughing, and they were crying, and they were taking pictures of these notes, and they were putting them in the lunch boxes, and the kids were squealing, and the counselors were laughing, and everybody, this is so fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. I said, it was my pleasure. I was happy to do that. And he said, great, we need 900 notes for next week. I went, oh. 300 almost killed me, right? So I was like, oh God, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. And so I started writing these notes, and I started writing these notes, and I started writing these notes. And I had the pleasure of working at Big Communications for about 4 years, 4 great years of my life. I learned so much from these people. One particular person helped me put together a website, and he had the idea of, hey, let's put together a website so that you can use this accidental platform that you've created, and all these people who love your messages and expect these messages and want these messages, maybe they can become a part of this with you, and they can submit messages, and then you don't have to do any work. And I said, that's awesome. So he helped me put together a website. It's napkinisms.com. I have been putting the hashtag napkinisms on my feed and whatnot for a long time, so I decided, okay, napkinisms.com is available, and so I created napkinisms.com. And it tells the story of the napkins and a lot of what I've shared with you this morning, but it also has a place on here where you can submit your own message, right? So you go to the Submit tab, you put in your name, your email address, your Twitter, Instagram handle, and then you write a message. And people can send a message, and they send that generates an email to me, and I look at the email, and I moderate some of them because, I can't put Corinthians 7 on a napkin. But a lot of these people are sending these great messages, and I said, okay, if you guys will help me do this, we can do something really special. So people showed up, not as many as I would have hoped. I probably wrote 7 of the 900 napkins that week. But then people started liking it. People started getting involved and sending more messages. And just take a look at this real quick. This is summer 2016. There's more coming. Are y'all able to read all those? Or? All right, yeah. So the point is, 3,000 napkins that summer were given to kids in need. 3,000 messages were sent to kids in need, right? And that's just a really, really special thing. Since then, about 10,000 napkins have been distributed through the Chick-fil-A Foundation to different kids or whatever. And like I said, the stories from these things have been really powerful. This is a picture of my kitchen table after that summer. My wife left for about 6 weeks, but she's back now. She's forgiven me. We bought the table at Walmart. But anyway, I've ruined my table. But this is a keepsake. This is a reminder of that summer. It's a really cool reminder that I have there. What's also cool is I received stories and stories and stories of people who were impacted by that summer. Not just the notes I was leaving in my kids' lunchboxes, but through the summer, people were really impacted by this. I heard a story was shared with me about a little boy at a boys' and I cry sometimes when I tell this story. I'm going to try not to do that this morning. This little boy was crying. He was weeping. I say weeping. I just heard he was crying, but I imagine him just. But he was crying, and he was on the sidewalk out in the parking lot at a Boys and Girls Club or whatever, some camp that he'd gone to, and he was crying. And the counselor came up to him and said, "Hey, buddy, what's wrong? What's going on?" And he wiped his face and he held up the napkin, and the napkin said, "Somebody who loves you is thinking about you right now." Wow. Listen, I never intended to change that kid's life. I don't know that I did change that kid's life. I just wanted to give him a smile. I just wanted to change his day, and it did. And maybe it still does. Maybe he's never heard that before. Maybe he just needed to hear that in that moment, right? Enter the Children's Hospital of Alabama, Napkinism. So I get to tell this story to groups often, not as often as I'd like, because this is one of my favorite things in the world to talk about, but I was talking at a specific event, and Garland Stansel, the Executive Communications Director, I probably got the title wrong, but anyway, he's a big dude at Children's, and he was in the audience, and he came up to me and said, hey, I'd love for you to come talk at the hospital. So I came and talked to the hospital, and I gave a version of this story at the hospital, and afterwards people came up and said, we got to do this at the hospital. We need to do this at the hospital. Why are we not doing this at the hospital? This makes perfect sense. We should do it at the hospital. And I said, oh, that sounds great. We should do that. And so Garland and I put our heads together, and now we're putting more than 135 notes on every single patient's tray every single day, right? I'm not a math major, but that's a lot of notes. That's a lot of math. That's a lot of messages. It's a quote that I stole from somebody, but it's really important. It says, even a small message, especially when it's important and crafted in love, will find its way to where it needs to be. That's a really powerful message. There's several messages that I have received over the past couple of years that have meant a lot to me. This is one of them. And it's really powerful, and it makes a difference when you see these things in action, right? Look at these babies. I mean, look at these. I don't know what they think. I don't know what their parents are getting out of these things. I don't know what these families need to hear on a day-to-day basis. I just know that I have an opportunity to speak into it, right? I have an opportunity to give someone a perspective that they might not have. These kids are going through unspeakable things. These kids are going through unthinkable tragedy. These families are dealing with these things that you can't even, God willing, none of us can really imagine some of these people. But it's not my responsibility to change that. I can't heal them. I can't get them out of the hospital. But maybe I can make that kid go, huh, I bet you can't say I'm awesome 50 times before lunch is over. I wonder how many kids did that and what kind of difference it made in those kids' lives. It's not my responsibility to take care of that, but I have an opportunity to do something special every day, and so do you. So you may be saying, oh, gosh, what in the world? This is Creative Mornings. I'm in advertising. He's gone on forever. What does this have to do with me? And I would submit that it has everything to do with you. I would submit that there is no better industry, there is no better group of people to hear a message of hope, to hear a message and to see that you don't have to do something grand to do something great. Of course some of us are going to change the world. Of course some of our creative and some of our paragraphs and some of the accounts and the campaigns that we work on are going to change perspectives and change the world. But the fact of the matter is you don't have to do something grand to do something great. You just got to do something. You just got to be intentional about it. And what better group of people to be so intentional with the gifts that you've been given. My gosh, the creative power in this room is ridiculous. We have an opportunity to do something really special. You could write stupid crap on a napkin, or you can go back to your office and say, what can I do? What can I do? How can I be intentional today to make somebody smile, to give them a perspective that everything's going to be okay, to tell them what really matters to them and in their life, and so on. That's all I got. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it so much. I'm so thankful for everybody here.